Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share another scrapbook process video with you. Today's layout that I am sharing was created for the Cocoa Vanilla Studio design team, and I am working with the brilliant No Limits collection again. Now today I'm actually going to be documenting a series of photos of one of my little dudes that I took when we were making homemade pizzas a few weeks ago. Now getting in the kitchen and helping me is something that my boys love to do. I'd probably love to do more of it with them, but sometimes they can be a little bit more of a hindrance than a help in the kitchen. Anyway, so I'm creating a mixed media layout for this page, and I'm actually using a patterned paper background for this one. I chose that one there that's got the grey sort of graduated dots pattern on it, which is actually the reverse of the cut apart paper. So I decided for this one today, I am going to be creating some monochromatic magic. Now, if you are not familiar with what a monochromatic color palette is, it's when you focus on one color, and in this case, it's going to be blue, and then you work with various shades of that color, because obviously if you work only in one shade of that color, it would be quite flat. So you're going to see on my page that I am working with some really deep blue, like the paint that I used there. That was a Dina Wakley acrylic paint that I just braided on my background. And that's a really, really deep blue. It's almost like, it's like an indigo. It's like a navy. It is my favorite color of all of Dina Wakley's paints. I just love it. It's delicious. So I decided to brayer some of that, as I said, on my background, and that created the focal point for this page. Then I cut a piece of that star print pattern paper there. Now that star print paper actually has like graduating color on it. It goes from cool tone, so it's got the blue stars on one side, right over, and then it goes to warmer tones on the other side of the paper with reds and yellows and oranges. So obviously I cut it right down so that you could only see the side with the blue tones on it, because as I said, I am creating some monochromatic magic today. So you will see that I am working with various shades of blue, but I am also introducing some neutrals to it as well. So I am working also with blacks and whites and greys. They're kind of a given. So at this point, I am actually messing around with a few scraps that I had. So I had some leftover bits and pieces from the cut apart papers. That's from the 12 by 12 cut apart, but also from the cut apart sheet that comes in the A5 paper stack in this collection. And if you have watched any of my previous videos, you know I am all about using up as many scraps as I can as I go along. I don't like to get to the end of a collection and just have a bag full of scraps. If I can see an opportunity to use any of those scraps as I use the collection up, then I jump right in and do it. So what I've actually got there tucked into the layers under these photos is a couple of the little journal cards from the cut apart sheet. Now, both of those journal cards actually had some little icons on them that I didn't necessarily want to be seen. I think one might have had a moon on it, and the other one maybe has a rocket on it. And obviously, neither of those little icons are particularly relevant to a page about making pizza. So I just turned them upside down and made sure that those corners were under the photo because I just wanted them there for layering anyway. So under my layers there, I have also added a grey paper doily, because I love to use coloured paper doilies in my layouts. There's a couple of reasons for this. Not only does it give me an opportunity to obviously add in an extra colour, it also helps me highlight the feature photo on my page, particularly when I am dealing with more than one photo, like in this case. But I also like the round shape of the doily and how it breaks up a lot of the right angles that are on a page here. So you can see with all those pattern papers there, that's the other reason that I tend to like bend a lot of my corners. So there's not always straight line corners. You don't always have those 90-degree square corners. Now, the other thing I'm adding into my layers there is some frayed gauze. I get my frayed gauze from a pharmaceutical supply company. It just comes in sheets. You might be able to find it at a pharmacy. Otherwise, have a look online. I think I get it through eBay, that one. And I just fray those sheets up, put them down on top of all my layers, and then use, you can see my liquid adhesive there, which is my Helmer 450, and I use that to stick the photos down on top so they hold it nice and firm. Okay, so once I had the arrangement of these photos decided, you can see that it left that space up in the top left corner there above that photo on the left, and it was space enough for that die cut ephemera piece that says awesome. Now, when I put it against the background like that, it did look like it was getting a little lost and it looked a little flat, and I just wanted to jazz it up a bit. So I grabbed one of my black ultrafine Sharpies and I just doodled over the letters just to give them a little bit of definition and help them stand out a bit more, because they were competing with that very strong dark blue that I had on the background. Now, incidentally, I did choose that blue so that it would tie in with my son's shirt that he was wearing, because I am all about colour coordinating things. Okay, at this point, I was starting to decide how I was going to embellish this layout. And one of my absolute favourite things in the ephemera pack with this collection are those large nested stars. So I think there's about 4, possibly 5. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, that all come nested together. They are different thicknesses. Some of them have the middles cut out like that. Some have the middle. I love them. Absolutely love them. So I decided to use a stack of those, one whole stack, and scatter those about my page. Now, initially, you will see that I have that cutout star on the right-hand side there. I think I end up moving that one up the top. You'll see as we go along. But I'm just tacking them down with my Scotch tacky glue in my fine line bottle there and figuring out how best I'm going to frame around these photos. Okay, I actually stopped my video there and I went off on a little bit of a hunt in my stash because I wanted to use the word pizza in my title. So I went off and I found these thickers. They are just like plain chipboard, and I wanted to make them match with that paint that was on the background. So you can see that I've just squeezed out a tiny little dab of paint onto my messy mat. And honestly, I couldn't even be bothered looking for a paintbrush. I just used my finger. I just painted them with my finger. There was no need to pull a brush out because that would have then required, walking to the sink and washing it, and I didn't have the patience for that. So to tie these alphas in with the word awesome, I actually wanted to put a little bit of definition on them as well. So initially I reached for my Sharpie, my white Sharpie paint pen, but clearly I hadn't waited for the other paint to dry, and putting wet paint on wet paint like that just wasn't going to work. So I ended up setting the alphas aside to dry for a little bit, and then I've gone back to embellishing the layout. So this is good for me. I've actually got 2 things going on concurrently here. Alphas are drying, working on the page. So I knew where I was going to put the alphas. I was going to put the alphas in that bottom left sort of space there that I had down below that photo on that side. So looking for some cool little bits and pieces just to fill up some of the spaces. You can see that I've gone with basically the visual triangle of stars there. I've added a couple in the top left-hand corner. I've got that one on the right where I'm just laying the phrase sticker over the top of now. And then I've got that other cluster down at the bottom where these alphas are about to go. So this is what I did to add definition to these chipboard alphas. My Sharpie paint pen tip, it didn't really want to work. These alphas were still a little bit damp. And quite frankly, I don't think that the tip on that was actually going to be broad enough to give me the definition that I wanted. So what I ended up using was a white correction pen. So the only thing is you don't get quite as much control with it because you do have to squeeze a little bit to allow it to become quite fluid and draw. So the lines are never going to be super perfect, but I did want them to be done in the same style, and you can see how I've arranged them there is similar to the style of the word awesome as well. So yeah, that was my little bit of theming with my title. I bet there's a few of you who are actually shocked because I never really think through my titles that well, do I? I tend to just jam them on in any old space, but there you go. There was a little bit of a thought process behind today's title. Okay, so what else am I adding to this page? Oh, I've added a few little fussy cut stars that I cut from some pattern paper scraps that I had on my desk. I am also adding, the little chipboard stars. Sorry, I had to look and see what I was doing there. I did. So this is where the only place where I deviated from the monochromatic theme. And it was all because of that little banner piece. Do you see that the little flag? See the little flag? Yeah. See how it's got that little touch of mustard sort of down the side of it? I couldn't have that on the page by itself. So that's why I've added those two tiny little chipboard stars in the same colour, because I needed there to be 3 of that colour on the page. Yeah, that's just me. Anyway, so that's my only digression from this sort of blue colour palette that I'm doing. So to finish off the page, I am using those delicious puffy stickers and sticking them around the place. I am also going to add some navy splatters. I'm using a Heidi Swap Colour Shine there. And, I am going to add some stamping as well. And it's going to be blue. See, I did very, very well. See, I even had navy splatters today, not black. And I'm going to actually stamp with blue ink as well. Let me see. What else do I need to tell you today? I don't think I need to tell you anything else today. You'll see me, I'm pulling out one of my roller stamps to do my stamping. I'm just stamping the phrase. I did end up putting some handwritten journaling on my page after I turned the video off. And that was it. Thank you so much for watching today. If you have any questions about anything that I've done in this video, or if there's anything you'd like to see, by all means, drop me some suggestions. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye.